Okay, hi, let's start. Um, Prachi, you wanted to ask some questions regarding the previous sessions, no?
Yes. So I have one question actually from the first one, and
Hmm.
I'll mind. Do you want me to read what is said? And I wrote it so that understand where's the context. So
Yeah.
at some point when he was talking about his questions, he said, "जीवों के हृदय में ब्रह्म खुद आत्मा के रूप में निवास करते हैं." Like when he was answering आत्मा कहाँ से आती है, and then he said,
Hmm.
जब मुक्त होने के लिए यदि मतलब जीव जब मुक्त होना चाहता है तो यदि आत्मा ब्रह्म में विलय होना ही है तो पहले जब जीव हुआ तो आत्मा तो उसमें नहीं थी, फिर
Hmm.
ब्रह्म उसके अंदर घुसने की क्या जरूरत थी? सो दैट आई
Hmm.
वांटेड टू चेक मीन दैट जब जीव के अंदर फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल तो व्हाई डिड आत्मा गेट इनसाइड दैट ब्रह्म एंड आत्मा इज यूजिंग एज सेम थिंग?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I wanted to check, and then I didn't understand what he means when he says ब्रह्म ज्ञान यदि परिपूर्ण है, वो ब्रह्म ज्ञान से ब्रह्म में है, वो चीज नहीं तो मतलब अगर ब्रह्म ज्ञान ब्रह्म में नहीं तो वो क्या होगा? What does I was little confused with
Right.
this.
So essentially, what he's saying is, according to the scriptures, what happened apparently is that when the Jeeves or the animals were created, initially there was no soul within them, there was no Atma within them. And then where did that soul come from? This It was God who created all these Jeeves in the first place. God himself, Brahma himself, came and sat in the hearts of all animals in the form of their atmas, in the form of their souls. So now, what he's saying is that this God is the one who's created this universe. This God is the one who is this atma, this soul in the hearts of the Jeeves, of the animals. And so this God also knows that the ultimate purpose of these atmas is to separate from the Jeeves and become one with God again, once again. So when he already knew this, when he knew that that is what has to be done, why did he go and, was he not aware that this has to be achieved ultimately? Why did he have to go and sit in the heart in the first place? So if God himself did not know this, didn't understand this, then what is the point of our, studying his knowledge? Or his is not appropriate, I suppose, but yeah, God's knowledge.
So in a way, based on action, he's questioning that then it doesn't seem that this knowledge, Brahm Gyan, is paripurn because actions are not in
Right.
alignment with the
Yeah.
like if he knows it, why is he doing it? So then is it even complete knowledge? जब उसको ही नहीं पता.
Right. Right. Any other questions from the previous session? Manjuji, you had said you had something to ask, no?
No, not right now. No.
Okay.
I need to go. I got something clarified in my mind. So,
All right. Okay. So then let's resume from where we stopped yesterday.
yeah.
Parichay. Yeah. If there are any questions or anything that's written in the chat, can any one of you keep a track of it? Because while I'm doing the translation, I actually am not able to keep track of whether there are any messages coming in. So just tell me if there are any at the end, or if they're relevant whenever we pause. Actually, it's best if we just speak because there's just a few of us anyway. Okay, so yesterday we had paused as he's talking about that there are two types of entities in existence. One sort of entity is the kind which is in the form of several units, एक वस्तु के रूप में. So there are several bounded units and innumerable such unitary entities. And then there is this other sort of entity which is spread evenly throughout everywhere. And that is the second kind of entity. And then he enumerated what all the first kind of unitary kind of entity also has two types of things. One is Jad Prakriti. We call the unitary entity as Prakriti or nature. And nature comprises of two types of entities again. One are material, and the second is conscious material. And so he's talking about how the conscious material is that which comprises of all the conscious entities found within the animal order and in the human order, whereas the Jad material entities are those that are found in the material order and the biological order, and all the material and found in in the form of minerals. One second. Minerals and atoms and molecules and biological cells and all the compositions made up of such biological cells, all of that falls under material entities, material nature. Now, the first sort of entity, which is found in the same way throughout, spread everywhere, we'll call it omnipresent. It's an omnipresent entity because it is spread evenly in the same manner everywhere. So it's called Vyapak. Vyapak just means present everywhere. So omnipresent. So,
Drishta, sorry, but I can't hear anything. Everyone else can. Like recording, I can hear you, but I can't hear anything that you played. I just wanted to check if it is, then I'll check the device. Is everyone else able to hear?
Are you able to hear?
No, I didn't realize you were playing that.
Oh,
So I didn't even
okay.
ask. But now that you mentioned, yeah, I can't hear.
Okay, let me see. Let's stop sharing. Okay, share sound. Okay, I'll just play it for the small section, short section. I'll play it once again.
और जितने भी खनिज पदार्थों से जो संगठित विघटित होने वाले
Now you can hear it?
Drishta? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can
पदार्थ,
hear.
ये सब पदार्थ अवस्था में है। ऐसे वस्तुएं जितने भी हैं, ये इन सभी वस्तुएं व्यापक वस्तु में भिगाई है, घुलाई है, मैंने डुबाई है और घिराई है।
Okay. So all these unitary entities that we've called nature, all of these innumerable entities are completely bhiga hua, डूबा हुआ, घिरा हुआ. So bhiga hua is completely soaked, drenched, pervaded completely. Bhiga hua. That is what is bhiga hua. So it's completely drenched in this omnipresent entity. They are all completely डूबा हुआ or completely immersed in this omnipresent entity, and they are completely surrounded, completely enveloped by this omnipresent entity.
इसको हम सटीकता से देखा, पता लगा अस्तित्व जो है ना तो व्यापक वस्तु से एक एक वस्तु अलग होने की व्यवस्था ही नहीं है। अस्तित्व
So I saw this with great precision that there is no way of separating this unitary nature from this omnipresent entity.
इसको हम सटीकता से देखा, पता लगा अस्तित्व जो है ना तो व्यापक वस्तु से एक एक वस्तु अलग होने की व्यवस्था ही नहीं है। अस्तित्व में ऐसा कोई प्रावधान ही नहीं है।
There is no system or no provision in existence, प्रावधान ही नहीं है, to separate in which one can separate these unitary nature entities from this omnipresent entity. There is no such provision.
अस्तित्व में जो प्रावधान नहीं है वो आदमी पैदा कर नहीं सकता।
That for which there is no provision in existence, humans naturally cannot produce. You know, we can't do anything. We can't produce anything for which there is no provision in existence.
अस्तित्व में जो कुछ भी प्रावधान है उपयोगिता को छोड़कर दुरुपयोगिता की ओर करता है, कुछ भी उपलब्धि करते हैं हम। जैसा युद्ध के लिए हमने बहुत सारा चीज प्रयोग किया, इसमें सिवाय ये धरती को बर्बाद करने के अलावा या मानव को बर्बाद करने के अलावा दूसरा कुछ हम कर नहीं पाए।
So if we try to do anything contrary to the provision of existence, if we try to attain or achieve anything contrary to the provision in existence, as in the utility for which anything is meant, such as, you know, we've used so many resources, we've employed so many natural resources for war. But whenever we attain, whatever we try to attain through doing these things, which are contrary to the natural order, contrary to the provisions of existence, we attain nothing except the destruction of this earth or the devastation of mankind.
शायद है ये चीज सारा विज्ञानियों को भी धीरे धीरे समझ में आ रहा है। वो थोड़ा सा देरी से समझ में आ रहा है, जल्दी समझ में आता शायद है, और भी अपन समृद्ध हो सकते थे और सुखी होने की रास्ता और भी अपने को मजबूत हो सकते थे।
So it seems like even scientists are now coming to understand this truth, and they're understanding this a bit late. Had they understood this earlier, sooner, then possibly we would have found the way to be prosperous and to be happier much sooner, and we'd be much more firmly upon that path by now.
इस मुद्दे पर हमारा सोचना ये है आज की स्थिति में, तो ये सब
This is my thinking on this topic, which is the situation of today.
घाट घाट के बाद ही समुद्र आता है, अनेक घाट के बाद एक नदी में घाट आता है, अनेक घाट के बाद एक समुद्र आता है। इसको मैंने पहचाना, शायद है नियति यही रहा हो, पहले रहस्यमय।
So, you know, talking about why it's taken so long for humankind to recognize this reality, that whenever we try to do something which is contrary to the provisions of nature, of order and existence, then we face devastation, and people are coming to realize it. And what he's sharing now is that not possibly, that like a river, it has to traverse several banks before it finally reaches the ocean. It travels many a bank before finally arriving at the ocean. Similarly, possibly this is what our destiny was, that we had to traverse several phases of growth before we finally realized the truth.
इसको मैंने पहचाना, शायद है नियति यही रहा हो, पहले रहस्यमय मैंने आदर्शवाद के बीच में आदमी को आना पड़ा, स्वीकारना पड़ा, उससे जो राहत मिला, वो राहत मनुष्य को पर्याप्त नहीं हुआ। पुनः
So first humans had to pass through mystical, that is idealism, and whatever relief he got from idealism he got. However, that relief was not fully satisfactory. He was not fully relieved with idealism.
भौतिकवाद के शिकंजे में आ गए, उसमें जो राहत मिला, वो राहत पर्याप्त नहीं हुआ। ये आज की दर्द की बात है।
Then he came within the clutches of materialism, and whatever relief that was able to provide humans, it provided. However, it has still not been satisfactory, and that is the situation of today. That is where we lie today.
और कोई बात नहीं।
That's all today's situation is really. It's nothing more than that.
और ये दोनों जगह में से हम नहीं पाए स्वाभाविक है तीसरे सीढ़ी की जरूरत है ही। ये तो सभी गणितज्ञों को भी पता लगता है, सामान्य व्यक्ति को भी पता लगता है।
So since we weren't satisfied by these two, naturally we needed a third step. This is quite easily understandable by experts, of course, but also by any average person. They can all understand this quite easily. That we now need a third option.
इस ढंग से जो उत्तर पाए बंधन और मोक्ष का उत्तर ये बना, आदमी समझदार होता है तो बंधन से मुक्ति पाया। यहाँ आगे
So in this way, I found my answer to bondage and liberation. What I found was that when humans understand, when they attain understanding, then they become liberated.
और समझदार हो कैसा? उसके लिए जब देखी हुई बात को यदि हम देखा, मुझ में क्या भ्रम है, कोई बंधन है, मुझ में मैं शोध किया, मुझ में मैं जांचा, तब पता लगा कि हमारे पास कोई बंधन का कारण कुछ भी नहीं दिखता।
So now how to become understand and how to attain understanding? So for that I examined within myself. I checked within myself, and based on all that I had seen, is there any sort of delusion or bondage within me? And to that, I found that there was no delusion in me.
जांचा, तब पता लगा कि हमारे पास कोई बंधन का कारण कुछ भी नहीं दिखता।
There was no cause there was no cause for bondage in me.
That part I didn't understand. One
So
just
ye-
before you.
Right. So he's now talking about how does one become, how does one attain understanding? समझदार कैसे हुआ जाए? And for that, and this is in continuation with the question of bondage and liberation. And what he's finding is that, okay, if liberation from any sort of bondage means understanding, I looked within myself to check whether there was any sort of bondage that I could sense in me, because now he's understood everything, right? He's seen whatever he's seen regarding existence. Now he checks within himself, is there any sort of bondage? Am I bound in any way? And found that no, I can see no cause of any sort of bondage in me, based on all that
Got
he's
it.
understood.
Okay, got it. Clear.
ये स्थिति सब में क्यों ना पैदा किया जाए? सब में भी नहीं दिखता, तो यही स्थिति सब में क्यों ना पैदा किया जाए? सब में पैदा करने पर कैसा लगेगा? तब भी ये पहले जैसा आपको सुनाया, भूमि स्वर्ग हो जाएगी, मनुष्य देवता हो जाएंगे, सभी धर्म सफल हो जाएगा, नित्य शुभ ही शुभ होगा।
So then, since there was, I could find no cause of bondage within me, why not produce this state in everyone else? And then what would it be like if everyone else was also in this state? Then, as I had shared earlier, this earth will become heaven, humans will become gods, dharma or order or orderliness will succeed, or it will be realized, and there will be eternal welfare. There will only be welfare.
परंपरा के रूप में ही नित्य शुभ होगा, इस जगह में हम पहुंचे।
And this eternal welfare will be in the form of a tradition. So tradition means something that is in continuity, which gets carried forward. And this is the point that I reached on examining within myself about this question of his.
इसमें हम अपने को फिर जांचने लगे, क्या हम ये सब संप्रेषित कर पाएंगे? संप्रेषित करना संभव है या संप्रेषणा लोगों के लिए जरूरत है? ये सब उसके बाद शुरू हुए।
So then I began to check within myself. Will I be able to communicate all this? Is it possible to communicate all of this? And do people need all of this for themselves? Is it even needed by everyone? And it is only after that that I began sharing all of this with people around.
तो मुख्य मुद्दा, मुख्य घाट, और जो मैं अपने में आश्वस्त हुआ, तो एक तरफ राज्य संविधान में मानवीय आचरण रूपी, मानवीय आचार संहिता रूपी चीज को समावेश कर सकते हैं, जिससे मानवीय राष्ट्रीय चरित्र प्रमाणित होगी.
So the major point on which I felt assured within myself was that one can one can incorporate this humane code of conduct within a national constitution, and in doing that itself we will be able to evidence a humane national character.
एक तो इस जगह में हम निश्चित हो, निश्चिंत हो, मैं स्वयं पारंगत हूं और प्रमाण भी हूं.
And on this point being that a humane code of conduct leads to a national humane character. On this point, I was definite. I was certain. I was also nischint. I was at ease. I was secure, and I am also parangat. Parangat means that, literally it means to have crossed this, crossed that bridge, which means I am well established in this. I am accomplished in this myself, and I am also the evidence of this fact.
तीनों चीज हमारे पास अधिकार में है. ठीक है. दूसरे ओर समझदारी, अस्तित्व समझ में आ जाए, मुझको समझ में आया है, आपको समझा देंगे. और जीवन समझ में आ जाए, मुझको समझ में आया है और आपको समझा देंगे. मानवीयता पूर्ण आचरण मुझको समझ में आया है, आपको समझा देंगे.
So in all of these, I am accomplished. In all three of these, I have the authority on all three of these. I can, existence can be understood. I have understood it. I'll explain it to you. Jeevan can be understood. I have understood it. I will explain it to you. Humane conduct can be understood. I will explain it to you. I have understood it. I will explain it to you.
ये तीनों तथ्य यदि समझ में आता है, हम मैंने समझदार हुए. समझदार होने पर क्या हो गया भाई? समझदार होने से बंधन से मुक्त हो गए.
So if one understands these three basic facts, these 3 points, that means one has understood. One has attained knowledge or understanding, ultimately. And what happens upon understanding? Upon understanding, one becomes free of all bondage. The bondage itself, the bondage was delusion.
क्या बंधन? भ्रम से, भ्रम रूपी बंधन से मुक्त हुए. पहले बुजुर्गों ने हमको क्या बताया? आवागमन से मुक्ति होगी. आवागमन से कोई ताल्लुकात नहीं है, ना कोई गया है, ना कोई आएगा. जो है सब कोई अस्तित्व में है.
So what was bondage? Delusion is bondage. Earlier our elders had told us that bondage is, that freedom is the freedom from the bondage to the cycle of coming and going, the cycle of death and birth and death. So coming and going means coming and going in this, in bodies, in this bodily journey. But I am telling you that there is no coming, there is no going. All that exists here in existence. All that is in existence. Nothing comes and nothing goes.
मुक्ति होगी. आवागमन से कोई ताल्लुकात नहीं है, ना कोई गया है, ना कोई आएगा. जो है सब कोई अस्तित्व में है. मरने की बाद भी जीवन अस्तित्व में है और जीते समय में, शरीर को चलाते समय में भी जीवन है. और ये कोयला वो खाक.
So even after death, the Jeevan remains in existence, and while living naturally, the Jeevan does exist. It continues to exist. So the Jeevan goes nowhere. There is no coming and going from anywhere.
लाते समय में भी जीवन है, और ये कोयला वो खाक होने की बाद भी वो रहता ही है विभिन्न स्वरूपों में। ये लोहा को टुकड़ा टुकड़ा बुरादा बनाने के बाद भी लोहा अपने स्वरूप में रहता ही है, या विभिन्न स्वरूप में बट करके रहता है। ये
So similar, just like coal, you can burn it completely, and yet it remains. It remains in various forms. If you look at iron, you can break it down to dust, and it will continue to remain in the same form or in various forms. But it remains. It does not vanish. This can be understood.
स्वरूप में रहता ही है, या विभिन्न स्वरूप में बट करके रहता है। ये भौतिक रसायनज्ञ इस बात को समझे भी होंगे, समझे नहीं होंगे तो मजबूरी समझेंगे। ये तो समझने के लिए सबको ही तो मजबूर है, समझना ही पड़ेगा इस ढंग से।
And this much, even the experts of physics and chemistry, they would have understood. They must have understood this already. And if they haven't understood it, they will have to understand it. We are all bound to understand it. We are all compelled to understand it eventually, at some point.
ये तो समझने के लिए सबको ही तो मजबूर है, समझना ही पड़ेगा इस ढंग से। समझदारी समझ में आता है। मूलतः वस्तु का नाश नहीं होता है, ये मुझको पूरा समझ में आया है। उसी आधार पर मैं ये मंगल कामना की है।
So that is what I understood, that essentially no entities are ever destroyed, are ever leave existence. And on this basis, I had this Mangal Kamna is a wish. Mangal is for wellness and for goodness. So it's like a wish for good fortune. So I based on this understanding, I had this wish for wellness.
कि भूमि यदि स्वस्थ रहेगी, मानव जागृत परंपरा के रूप में जी सकता है। यही स्वर्ग होने, नित्य मंगल होने का आधार है।
That if this earth remains in good health, then there is the possibility for humans for the awakened humans to live and establish their tradition of awakening on this planet. And that itself is the basis for eternal and universal welfare.
Mister, can you say that
Yes.
again?
No, that if this earth remains in good health, यदि ये धरती स्वस्थ रहेगी, तो जागृत मानव परंपरा, then it is possible for the awakened human tradition to establish itself upon this earth, and that awakened human tradition will become the basis for eternal and universal welfare. Nitya Mangal, Nitya Shubh.
मानव जागृत परंपरा के रूप में जी सकता है। यही स्वर्ग होने, नित्य मंगल होने का।
That is the basis for eternal welfare, or the name that is given to it is heaven. That is the basis for the earth becoming heaven.
आधार।
Is that okay?
Yes, so he means that if if earth is healthy, then only there's a possibility that humans get awakened, and then that will become basis of more human and whatever is there more beyond gets awakened.
Right. It's only if the earth remains healthy that we can have the opportunity to awaken, and once we are awakened, then once humankind is awakened as a whole, that becomes the basis for this earth not only being healthy but becoming, like complete heaven, which is eternal welfare for everyone.
Got it.
इस विधि से मैं जो मंगल कामना मुझ में मेरे मन में उपजी, उसके समर्थन में पूरा अस्तित्व, जीवन और मानवीयतापूर्ण आचरण, ये 3 प्रधान मुद्दा है। इससे बड़ी उपकार यह होगी, धरती को बिना घायल किए पेट फाड़े, धरती को बर्बाद किए बिना मानव इस धरती पर चिरकाल तक इस धरती पर रह सकता है।
So, for this wish for wellness that emerged within me, the 3 main points, the 3 main issues for it are understanding existence, understanding Jeevan, and understanding humane conduct, upon which there is the possibility for humans to continue to exist and thrive on this earth for Tirkal is very, very long, or essentially forever.
उसका भी विधि इसी पर रह सकता है। उसका भी विधि इसी समझदारी से आती है। यह तो बात बहुत सुस्पष्ट है, आज तक की बीती गुजरी, उसका भी विधि इस धरती पर रह सकता है। उसका भी विधि इसी समझदारी से आती है। यह तो बात बहुत सुस्पष्ट है, आज तक की बीती गुजरी इतिहास से कुछ भी घटनाएं घटित किया है मानव ने अप्रत्याशित।
So the way to continue to exist on this earth without hurting the earth also comes from this understanding of these 3 points. Now, it is already clear that the way we have lived on this planet has been unfortunate for the planet.
कुछ भी घटनाएं घटित किया है मानव ने अप्रत्याशित।
That all the things that we have caused to occur, or that we have, all the events that we have enforced on this planet, essentially, they have been apratyashit is undesirable. They have been undesirable.
वो सारे घटनाएं नासमझी से ही घटित हुई है और किसी कारण से घटित नहीं हुई।
And all such events have occurred thanks to our lack of understanding and for no other reason other than this.
अभी धरती को जितने तंगाने की बात हुई, वो भी इसी प्रकार नासमझी की कारण से ही धरती का पेट फाड़ा गया, धरती में बुखार उत्पन्न किया गया, धरती के जिसमें सतह में अनेक प्रकार की विकृतियां तैयार की, नदी नाला ये सबको बर्बाद की गई।
So in this way, as we were just talking about having troubled this earth, all that has also occurred all that also we have made to happen due to our lack of understanding. So, we have made the earth, we have hurt the earth, we have caused it to develop a fever, we have torn open its stomach, and we have created strange deformities on its surfaces.
हवा पानी में जो आदमी त्रस्त हो रहे हैं वो आप सबको विदित है।
And the pollution of our rivers and streams and air and water that is causing the suffering of all mankind, all of that you all are already aware of.
ये सब कष्ट से आदमी मुक्त हो सकता है या ये धरती को मुक्त करा सकता है।
Mankind can be free of all these problems. That is, in other words, we can rid the earth of all these problems, of all these difficulties.
धरती मुक्त हो सकता है इस कष्टों से। धरती
The earth
जब
can be
कष्टग्रस्त
freed.
रहेगी, मेरे अनुसार धरती में रहने वाले समस्त वनस्पति, समस्त खनिज, समस्त जीव और मनुष्य सभी तंग होंगे ही।
The earth can be freed from these problems. If the earth remains if the earth continues to suffer, then according to me, all the plants, all the minerals, all the animals, and all the humans that live on this earth will also suffer.
धरती को घायल करके आदमी स्वस्थ रहे, ये इसका परिकल्पना कितने अच्छे लोग किए होंगे, आप ही सोच लीजिएगा।
That man can live happily after hurting and injuring the earth. What kind of humans might have come up with such an idea or with such an assumption? You can well imagine for yourself what sorts of humans have thought of this possibility.
वो आप ही के लिए काफी सोचने के लिए जुगाड़ भी है। अब इसके आगे की बात ये निकलती है शुभ की।
This is something for you to think about. Now, after this,
बात यदि हम धरती को तंग करना बंद कर देते हैं, इसमें आश्वस्त होने की मुद्दा यही निकलता है कि धरती की सतह में जो संपदाएं अपने आप से बिखरा हुआ है, इसी से इस धरती पर आदमी अच्छी तरह से जी सकता है।
now, if we were to stop injuring this earth, then the resources that are already, distributed and spread across the surface of the earth are sufficient for us to live in ease and in abundance.
कब गलती, अपराध, युद्ध अच्छी तरह से जी सकता है, कब गलती, अपराध, युद्ध, शोषण और मैंने द्रोह विद्रोह नहीं करना है। ये सभी चीजें, ये सभी घटनाएं अभी जैसा गिनाए आपको, द्रोह विद्रोह, शोषण, युद्ध, ये सब चीज मनुष्य की नासमझी का उपज है।
All this is sufficient for us to live on this planet when we don't indulge in any mistakes, any crime, any sort of exploitation or any war. Galti, aparadh, shoshan, yudh. If we don't indulge in these sorts of foolhardy endeavors, then we can live on this planet.
युद्ध, ये सब चीज मनुष्य की नासमझी का उपज है।
These are all the fruits of man's delusions and lack of understanding.
ये समझदारी का उपज नहीं है। उसका गवाह
They are not the fruits of man's wisdom or man's understanding.
गवाही यही है, मनुष्य असंतुलित, धरती असंतुलित, नदी नाला पहाड़ असंतुलित, वन खनिज सब असंतुलित होना ही इसका गवाही है, जो हम मानव विज्ञान युग के बाद ये सब कर गुजर चुके हैं।
The testimony to this is that there is an imbalance in all the systems around it. He listed a few systems in the forests, in the ecosystem,
वन खनिज सब असंतुलित,
in the minerals.
होना
They
ही
have
इसका
all
गवाही
become
है।
in imbalance, and that itself is the testimony to the fact that these are fruits of our delusion, of our lack of understanding.
जो हम मानव विज्ञान युग के
That we humans have already, been through, that, all this imbalance is something that we have all seen and participated in ever since the scientific age.
बाद ये सब कर गुजर चुके हैं, तो उसके बाद भी हम डिंग हाँकने में अभी तक बाज आए नहीं। सोचते हैं हम विज्ञान से ही अच्छा ठोर पाएंगे।
And even then, even till now, despite all of this, we have not, we haven't stopped being Haknais, making tall claims and being arrogant about these tall claims.
सोचते हैं हम विज्ञान से ही अच्छा ठोर पाएंगे, जबकि ये धरती से आदमी जात कूच होने की जगह में आ चुका है।
We continue to make tall claims. We keep saying that it is through science and technology itself that we will be able to achieve anything. Even though, we've already reached a stage where it's very likely that humans themselves may disappear from the face of the earth.
ये आदमी को याद रखने की वस्तु है,
This is
इस पर
something for
ध्यान
man
देने
to
की
remember
बात है।
and to pay attention to.
जब कभी ये इससे बचना चाहता है, आदमी को समझदार होना ही होगा, दूसरा कोई ठोर नहीं है। नासमझी से अपराधों का रोकथाम होता नहीं।
If humans ever want to overcome this, to save themselves from this misfortune, humans will have to understand. There is no other way. A lack of understanding or ignorance can never lead to any solution.
नासमझी से अपराधों का रोकथाम होता नहीं।
Sorry. Lack of understanding, a state of ignorance, cannot prevent or stop any crime.
चाहे राष्ट्रीय विधि से राष्ट्र, संविधान कुछ भी विधि से अपराध करता हो, वो अपराध का मतलब अपराधी है। जैसा सहज रूप में अभी धरती के छाती पर जितने भी राष्ट्र कहते हैं, सभी राष्ट्र का अपना एक संविधान होता है। सभी संविधान में 3 महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दा है।
So however you may define crime, whether it's crime according to one national code or some other form of crime, crimes are simply crimes. So as we know, each nation upon this earth has a constitution, and within that they have defined what will be considered crime as crime.
और एक वचन है, क्या है वह? 3
And there are 3 points that are in common to all of these constitutions.
महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दा है, और एक वचन है, क्या है वह महावाक्य? वो है शक्ति केंद्रित शासन।
So all constitutions have 3 things in common and one prevailing motto. And what is this prevailing singular motto? Power-centric rule. Shakti Kendrit Shasan. Shasan is an enforced rule over a populace. Shakti Kendrit means centered on power. So essentially autocratic system.
शक्ति केंद्रित शासन का जो व्याख्या है, गलती को गलती से रोकना है, अपराध को अपराध से रोकना है, युद्ध को युद्ध से रोकना है।
And if we were to elaborate on what this power-centric rule means, then that's where these 3 points come in, which is stop mistakes with mistakes, to stop crimes with more crimes, and to stop wars with more wars. So prevent mistakes using mistakes, to prevent crimes using crimes, and to prevent wars using wars.
यही 3 कर्म है। इन तीनों कर्म में कहीं भी ऐसा नहीं दिखता है हम अपराध से मुक्ति पा गए, या गलती से मुक्ति पा गए, या युद्ध से मुक्ति पा गए।
These are the 3 actions of state. And in any of these 3 actions, nowhere can we see that we have, freed ourselves of mistakes, or that we have freed ourselves of crime, or that we have freed ourselves of wars.
ये तीनों चीज अपने आप में हर दिन, हर मास, हर वर्ष, हर शताब्दी और मजबूत होती जाती है। युद्ध की मजबूती, अपराधों की विफलता, गलतियों की कतार, यही इतिहास में भरी हुई है, पन्ने रंगे हुए हैं।
And as a result, these three have increased and strengthened in number by the second, by the day, by the year. We have found that there's been an increase in the number of wars, an increase in the number of crimes and the types of crimes, an increase in the kinds and types of mistakes that man has committed.
ये गवाही है।
That is a testimony to our lack of understanding.
इन गवाहियों के साथ यदि हम इसका समाधान खोजते हैं, इसके मूल में इन सभी इस परिस्थितियों को बनाने वाला केवल आदमी ही है। ना तो पत्थर बनाया है, ना जीव बनाया है, ना वनस्पति बनाया है। केवल आदमी ही ये तीन प्रकार की जो कर्म शुरू किया, वो उस कर्म को आदमी ने ही शुरू किया।
So this is the testimony, and then if we search for the answer, for the resolution, for the solution, then we find that it is only humans that have created these three problems. Neither rocks, nor plants, nor animals have caused any such problems such as mistakes, crimes, and wars. It is only humans that have come and begun these kinds of actions.
और महत्वपूर्ण बात ये भी है, तो धर्म संविधान, संपूर्ण धरती की जितने भी धर्म संविधान हैं, इसमें ये मानी गई है आदमी जो है मूलतः पापी, अज्ञानी, स्वार्थी होता है।
Now, another thing that exists is the Dharma Samvidhan. So, Dharma Samvidhan are religious constitutions or religious manifestos, one could say. And these religious manifestos all seem to say that humans are inherently mistaken or flawed, and they need to be cured.
ये मानी गई है आदमी जो है मूलतः पापी, अज्ञानी, स्वार्थी होता है।
Papi, Agyani, Swarthi. So that humans are inherently sinful, ignorant, and selfish. That is what most spiritual, religious manifestos seem to proclaim.
जबकि वास्तविकता इससे भिन्न होती है। तो पापी को उतारने के लिए और अज्ञानी को ज्ञानी बनाने के लिए और स्वार्थी को परमार्थी बनाने के लिए सभी धर्म संविधान अपने अपने ढंग की युक्तियां और चरित्र, कर्तव्य, दायित्व, कुछ भी कर्मकांड, कुछ भी बनाया है।
So they proclaim this, whereas the reality is different from that. And in order to turn sinners into non-sinners, to turn ignorant ones to those that are knowledgeable, and to turn selfish people to selfless people, all these religions have come up with their own sort of rules, principles, advice, methods, and what? There's some other word.
धर्म संविधान अपने अपने ढंग की युक्तियां और चरित्र, कर्तव्य,
characters and duties and responsibilities that they have all proposed in their own ways to overcome this innate, inherent nature of humans that they have proclaimed.
दायित्व, कुछ भी कर्मकांड, कुछ भी बनाया है। ये भी एक बहुत ही स्पष्ट तथ्य है। गुजरी बीती हुई जो परिणाम है, तो अभी तक कोई अज्ञानी ज्ञानी हो गया, ये मानव जाति ने किसी को पहचाना नहीं है।
This is also a pretty well-traveled road path, and so we can see that there is no evidence of these methods having succeeded. No one has been able to turn any ignorant individual into someone wise. No one has been able to turn a sinner into someone who is benevolent, or turn someone who is selfish into someone who is truly selfless.
और स्वार्थी परमार्थी हो गया, ये भी हमको प्रमाण नहीं मिला।
Swarthi, selfish, and Paramarthi is actually more than selfless. It's someone who is, devoted to everyone else's welfare, everyone's welfare, rather than one's own welfare.
स्वार्थी परमार्थी हो गया, ये भी हमको प्रमाण नहीं मिला।
We find no evidence for that.
अज्ञानी ज्ञानी हो गया, ये भी नहीं हुआ, और पापी पाप से मुक्त हो गया, ये भी नहीं मिला। मैं आपको इसके पहले कुछ बताया था।
Okay. I just want to pause here because it's 7:25. So in case anyone has anything to ask or say or share, we can take a little bit of time and do that now.
समाधि समय पर्यंत तक साधना है।
Oh, yeah, sorry. No.
When these are chapters or whatever. So today we are doing part what?
This is part 2. They've divided this in small parts, and this is just the second part that we're doing. If you look at the book, the Hindi English book, then we're on page 17.
Oh, okay.
Anything else that you would like to ask, or should I resume for the next 5 minutes also?
Resume.
साधना काल में मनुष्य में वैचारिक, इसके पहले कुछ बताया था। समाधि समय पर्यंत तक साधना है। साधना काल में मनुष्य में वैचारिक उद्दोलित होना, वैचारिक रूप में वो पूर्णतया समाधानित होना बना ही नहीं रहता, क्योंकि समस्या की पीड़ा से तो पीड़ित होकर के समाधि की ओर दौड़ता है। ये बात आपको विदित कराई थी।
Okay. Now, as I had shared with you earlier, I'm sorry, I'll have to listen to this again. Got a bit distracted.
काल में मनुष्य में वैचारिक उद्दोलित, इसके पहले कुछ बताया था। समाधि समय पर्यंत तक साधना है। साधना काल में मनुष्य में वैचारिक उद्दोलित होना, वैचारिक रूप में वो पूर्णतया समाधानित होना बना ही नहीं रहता।
Now, I had mentioned something earlier, that is that until the point of samadhi, there is sadhana, or there is meditation and effort towards samadhi. And then in samadhi, there is no state of thought or resolution of any kind.
क्योंकि समस्या की पीड़ा से तो पीड़ित होकर के समाधि की ओर दौड़ता है। ये बात आपको विदित कराई थी। इस
Because it is
की ओर दौड़ता है।
sorry, Prachi?
Hi. What is समय पर्यंतक?
Oh, so paryant. Samay is from samadhi ke samay. Paryant is up till. So up till samadhi, there is sadhana.
ठीक, understood.
Right. And until samadhi, so he says, until samadhi there is sadhana, and until samadhi there is also no sort of resolution in the mind of humans.
साधना काल में मनुष्य में वैचारिक उद्दोलित होना, वैचारिक रूप में पूर्णतया समाधानित होना बना ही नहीं रहता। क्योंकि समस्या की पीड़ा से तो पीड़ित होकर के समाधि की ओर दौड़ता है।
So within that time of meditation, within that time of sadhana, there is no calmness or no sort of resolution within the mind of the ascetic, because he came to sadhana, he came towards samadhi only because he was deeply pained by something in life, and that is why he actually even begins this entire process of sadhana. And therefore, during sadhana, there is no calmness. If there was, then he would stop it, no, because he's achieved his goal.
ये बात आपको विदित कराई थी।
I had already shared this.
इस विधि से इससे ज्यादा तो कोई आदमी होता नहीं है। समाधि के लिए प्रयत्न करते तक ही आदमी का ऊंचाई दिखाई पड़ती है। इन ऊंचाई में वैचारिक संतुलन बना रहता है, ऐसा कुछ देखा नहीं गया।
So there is, I had shared this with you already, and there can be no person more sincere than someone who has dedicated their life to samadhi, to sadhana, to relieve themselves of their questions, of their pain. So you can find no one more sincere than such people. And even within such people, even within such ascetics, one finds that there is no resolution within their mind. This I had already shared with you earlier.
इन ऊंचाई में वैचारिक संतुलन बना रहता है, ऐसा कुछ देखा।
Even at these heights of sincerity and restraint and all that control, one finds that there is no vaicharik santulan, so mental balance or mental control and regulation.
नहीं गया साधना काल में मनुष्य को तमाम प्रकार की उटपटांग बात आता ही है।
In this period of meditation and sadhana, all sorts of foolish thoughts can and do occur in the mind of the ascetic.
समाधि के बाद वो शमन होता है, ये बात सच है।
After samadhi, those die away. That is true.
समाधि के बाद उसके साथ ये भी हो जाती है कि समाधि के पश्चात मनुष्य को कुछ करने की इच्छा होता नहीं और कुछ पाने की इच्छा होता नहीं, कुछ रखने की इच्छा नहीं होती है।
But another thing that happens with samadhi is that he is left with no desire to achieve anything, to do anything, or to have or keep anything.
तीनों नहीं होती है, ये भी बात देखी गई।
All three of these remain absent. This also I have seen and I have shared.
उसके बाद आप हमसे पूछेंगे आपको कैसा इच्छा हुआ ये सब चीजें तैयार करने के लिए। मैंने आपको पहले से ही विनय कर चुका हूं, जो मैं जब सोचा वाकई में मुझको समाधि हुआ कि नहीं हुआ है, जब क्योंकि हम मुक्ति।
So after this, then you will ask me, then how come you had the desire to, to prepare all of this that you are preparing now? Regarding that, again, I've already mentioned that it was in verifying whether I had attained samadhi or not, in verifying or establishing or finding proof for having attained samadhi.
के लिए तो हम शुरू किए ही नहीं थे और स्वर्ग जाने के लिए हमारा कोई इच्छा नहीं रहा, तो हम केवल हमारा प्रश्नों का उत्तर पाने के लिए दौड़े थे, वो मिला नहीं। उस स्थिति में मैं अब समाधि हुआ नहीं हुआ इस बात को परिशीलन करने के लिए शुरुआत किया।
Because it was in order to prove, because I hadn't started out on this journey to attain samadhi. I hadn't started out to reach some sort of heavenly state. I had started because I needed some answers. I had some questions and some pains, and I did not find those answers. And so, in order to verify and establish firmly that I had attained samadhi, that is why I started all of these further pursuits.
वो परिशीलन विधि में ये सब चीज सौभाग्य, मानव के पुण्यवश, मानव के भविष्यवश, मानव के माने सर्वशुभवश, सर्व कल्याणवश, ये सब चीज सौभाग्य, मानव के पुण्यवश, मानव के भविष्यवश, मानव के माने सर्वशुभवश, सर्व कल्याणवश, ये बात निकल के आ गई.
And in trying to establish this, in my attempts to find a way to establish this, I, thanks to the good fortune of man, thanks to man's good future, thanks to the good, there are several things he said, Sarvashubh, for the sake of universal welfare, for Sarva Kalyan, for eternal, for universal well-being, this great fortuitous knowledge was received by me. It just happened to have occur.
Drishta, it's
I think-
7.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we should pause now. Anything that you'd like to ask or mention or something?
I'm good.
Manvi?
No, I got it. It's okay.
Okay.
I'm going to hear it again and again, but I've understood very well.
Right. Okay, okay. Yeah, I forgot I attach the link to the original video also on the description of this particular video. And add it to
It's
the
okay.
others as well.
Acha, it's okay. I just wanted to know where we have reached. So that means I was just working out that in 3 days or 4 days, today's a third or fourth? Third,
Third.
no? In 3 days, we could not finish part 2. So it's okay. I just wanted to know. Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
Okay.
I'm in no
All
hurry.
right. Yeah.
I'm in no hurry. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Bye.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye.
Hello.
Thank you.
Bye.